Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Big Esports Podcast. In this episode, I talked to two brothers who are whiz kids in regards to influencer and talent management as a whole. Now, there's been a bunch of questions I've been thinking about for a long time of quality versus quantity. I've talked about this on some podcasts before in regards to talent management, about how there's been a lot of talent management agencies that have popped up, tried to get as many talent as they can, and maybe underserved some of them, as we talk about on the podcast. These guys do the opposite. But we also talked a lot about 2021 trends going forwards and creators doing more than just ad deals, having ownership in companies, making their own companies, and different ways of them gaining equity and setting themselves up for the future. So hopefully enjoy this podcast. I know that I did, and I have a pretty funny comment at the end about it. At least I think I'm funny. Happy New Year. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I did too. Enjoy. Cole, Cody, we're live. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good. No worries at all. Good to kick off 2021 with some completely new people. I have to say, I think I was introduced to you guys through maybe a contact form at Big Esports at an agency or someone you're working with. I got to say, this is the first time I've ever accepted one of those inbounds before from like an agency saying, "Hey, you should talk to these people." Because to be honest, it's a lot of the time it's not that great. But you guys caught my attention. That's for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. So I'd love to just get a bit of a general background on both of you guys. If you could give me a quick summary as to, who you are and what your company's doing today and how it was founded. And then, we got a lot of stuff to chat about. 2021 is going to be huge for creators and you guys are in that mix. So I got a lot of questions to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Cody and I run Up North. We are a entertainment and media company. Both Cody and I are brothers and partners, and originally from Toronto. I'm still here based full-time out of Toronto, and Cody's in LA full-time. We've been running Up North for just over 2 years now. So just a kind of short review, 3 kind of divisions of the company: 1, talent management; 2, original productions; and 3, business ventures.
Cool. Do you guys have much of a history in that space? Like how did the founding come around?
So 2.5 years ago, I came to Cole with this idea to start a company in the digital space. We weren't really certain on gamers. It wasn't a gaming and esports sort of focus at the beginning. I had come from the traditional film and TV world. I'd worked at a couple management companies, production companies, movie studios on film and TV side. And then I went to law school and thought I was going to be a talent lawyer. I wanted to work with talent in that capacity, and going to law school, just thought it was really valuable to have my degree. I wrote the California bar exam, and then 2 weeks later, I was basically like, I really don't want to practice law. I want to do something a little more creative, a little more hands-on and entrepreneurial. And I'd been, sort of like bothering Cole about some, stuff on the management side that he was previously doing, and just saw a real opportunity to come in and represent talent that were underrepresented. And, it's a lot of, young kids that don't really know how to market themselves, and they're getting, taken advantage of from a legal perspective, and they don't know their way around contracts. There's been so many scandals in gaming and esports, especially with contracts, and thought we could be a real value add, and just, being creative. And Cole and I come from like the gaming world. We've been gamers our whole lives. We understand the culture, how things work, things like that. But we definitely didn't start it as, hey, we're going to create like a gaming management company. It was like, hey, we're going to create a digital creator management company, and let's have someone in gaming, let's have someone in lifestyle, let's have someone in beauty and food and things like that. But I'll let Cole speak to why I went to him. Obviously, he's my brother, but I went to him for a different reason as well.
Yeah, so I actually come from the music industry. Straight out of college, I started an artist management company. Shortly into that, I ended up finding an artist from here in Toronto, and quickly he ended up signing with Drake's record label, OBO Sound, here in Toronto. Things were going well, very involved with that team. And, a year in, that's when Cody had just finished writing the bar. He came to me and was just like, hey, do you want to kind of start this as well? And given the fact that I come from the talent management side and I had experience there, and Cody coming from film TV plus the legal side, we could fuse it all together and create something new. And I think we just saw, a huge opportunity, especially just given both of our backgrounds. And, at the time, obviously up until now, I think there's way more competitors in the space in just terms of agencies, management companies, et cetera. But at the time, it was a real kind of open lane. So, that's what we did, and just over 2 years old now, and over 15 clients across the board. And 2020 was a pretty awful year for the world, but as you probably know, it's been pretty amazing for the space that we work in, and very fortunate that, we reap the benefits of that.
Yeah, it was a good segue, actually, because one of the first questions I want to ask, because the last thing you mentioned, Cole, was around, there being so many competing agencies in the space. And then something that you said, Cody, that I'm sure a lot of people listening already know about is, influencers and players not being treated the best in the past. I'd be interested to see, what you guys think of, I guess, the land grab of creators and whether you agree with that. I think what I felt like I saw in 2019 and 2020 is a lot of agencies Pokemon collecting. They've got to catch them all as far as the talent goes. They're trying to sign 20, 30, 40, 50 creators and hoping to make the money simply by just managing their inbound emails. I got a mate of mine who's got millions of subscribers as a gaming YouTuber. He signed with an agency in March last year and has got one single brand deal since then. And we both know that if you've got 2 million subs, you've definitely got some fans, and it's very likely that you should probably get some brand deals through. So I'd be interested to get your guys' opinion on that. Is that how you're able to sign those talent? That you really have to trust them?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Cole and I talk about this every day. It feels like there's a new company almost like popping up daily. It just seems like people are putting, companies in bios, and it's just like, I've never heard of this company before, and they're fresh and new to the space. And I think you're right about that. There's definitely a land grab. I think that's a good analogy of the Pokemon catch 'em all. And, I would sort of caution it as that's, playing the volume game. It's very transactional. We really like to keep our roster lean, so that we can, provide and allow for people to have a real personal connection and relationship with us, because we're more than just a brand deal. It's really an all-inclusive brand building exercise that we go through with our clients, from strategy to figuring out a marketing plan, branding overall content, consumer products, merch, all that sort of like wrapped up in one. And, we wouldn't be able to do that if we had 57 clients and it was Cole and I.
Yeah. I mean, we like to tell people all the time, you're the CEO and we're here to act as the COOs, and whatever you want to accomplish, like, we're here to help you execute those goals. And like Cody said, I mean, sure, we can do brand deals all day, but that's not even, I would say, like the main focus of what we love to do. We're in it for the passion of really helping creators build something. And obviously now you're seeing creators at a point where, they can go off and start their own businesses. They can go off and branch into these other areas. And, that's what excites us kind of, a lot about the future, especially this year.
Yeah, I've been really interested in thinking a lot recently about that quality versus quantity, like as far as the creators go. So do you guys find that great success for you of keeping it lean and mean, and maybe selling more opportunities per creator rather than just having that wider list? Because, like when I'm working with brands, I'll get pitches from some agencies and they'll be like, we've got access to 30,000 talent. We've got 700 guys on our books that are all exclusive and things like that. But it just feels, a lot of time pretty faceless, and it feels like I don't necessarily get the best deal. But at the same time, at least as a brand, when I'm doing that stuff, it does give me access to a wider set of creators. So they're more likely to cast that net and to catch that deal, I guess, than if, one of your 15 isn't suitable for the audience that I need.
Yeah, it's definitely one-sided in terms of like a brand agency or the brand itself going that route. I think it's beneficial for them. But on the flip side, I wouldn't even know, like, if something came in and there were 75 clients on our roster, I wouldn't even know where to place it. Like it's just too impersonal. And that's not why we got into this business at all.
That makes sense. And I guess, like, one thing I talked to Fusion Droid about on a podcast, so he's a Minecraft YouTuber with a couple million subscribers. And, he was saying that 95% of his income also comes from his ad revenue and only 5% from his business. So, I mean, how do you guys function with that as an agency? Like, where are you mainly making your revenue from today?
Yeah, we mainly make it from the brand sponsorship side. Really depends. But yeah, I think that's like for most creators, that's where they're seeing, the majority of the revenue, just because the payouts from AdSense are so great, especially if they're hitting an ICPM and the content's clean and they're playing more of a family-friendly game and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we're always trying to strive and create different types of revenue streams for people, so we're not so reliant on the deal coming in and that's for a sponsorship or a brand. It's really, who first of all, like, who makes sense. Do you not want to do mobile games? Those are always questions that we have with our creators, those types of ads and things like that. But it's always just trying to think of things differently where we can expand your brand. And there's a real mutual benefit to both the brand having you on there and then you to the brand as well. So there has to be that sort of two-sided relationship.
Yeah. And just to add to that, obviously we're fortunate enough to see, a big influx of incoming requests as far as like the sponsorship side. But at the same time, like Cody and I like to go a step further and actually, generate ideas on our own end that we go to brands with the idea to, hey, this is why you need to partner, or here's an idea for a campaign. And, we've seen a lot of success with that. Two brands kind of top of mind that we've done that with is Smile Direct Club. I mean, we have a client who is the biggest female Call of Duty gamer, and she's just known for having this infectious smile. So we had the idea to, go to Smile Direct and have a conversation with them because that made a lot of sense, and ended up, doing a partnership. And that was their first time working with a gamer. And we did something similar with Jarritos, which is, a Mexican soda brand that, not too many people from like a Gen Z perspective might know, but came to them with that idea, and now they sponsor a bunch of our Fortnite creators. So, thinking outside the box and doing kind of one, unique and first of its kind, partnerships and opportunities, that's kind of where we strive for.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess, because once again, using that Pokemon collecting thing that I was saying, for those people who aren't aware, like a lot of the time the manager will be managing the incoming business email address, and often what they're relying on is, I'm going to get 60 YouTubers under me, and I'm going to rely on the Squarespaces of the world and the Audibles, etc., to the VPN, 400,000 VPN companies that advertise every minute on YouTube to send me an email, offer me some work, and I'll just take a percentage off that. Whereas, what you guys are doing is trying to take that active approach, is keeping it, down to your 15 creators and actually building campaigns and going out, more like an agency, I guess, and putting those campaigns together, right?
Yeah, we like personalize it too. Like I said, like, because one of our clients just had a smile, boom, right there, light bulb, it made sense. And we kind of tailor it to, specific creators' needs or parts of their personality that make sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I go back to this analogy. I remember I don't know if I talked about this in any content before, because I used to work at Corsair for a couple of years in Australia. And I remember sitting there, I think it was like a LAN party got cancelled. It was like 2017 to 2018. I was doing my budget and I had like $7,000 US a quarter just sitting there. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know where to spend it. Like, I wish someone would come into my email right now and be like, hey, look, here's a cool idea. Because I literally would have just given them $7,000 out of nowhere. Like, sometimes you just got to shoot that shot, right? And like another example I use is Kieran, who's been on the podcast before with Bang Energy. He sold, I don't know if he talks about it publicly. He sold a lot of money through Bang Energy simply by filling out their contact us form. And they said, send us some channels that you've got signed. And he sent them. And they said, yeah, we'll take on like all of them. So sometimes you literally just have to ask the question, right?
Yeah. It's an education thing too. Even like newer brands that are either, contacting us or like, hey, we don't really know how to activate in the space. Like, sort of, can you give us a little education? There's definitely a lot of back and forth on the education process of how to activate in gaming, what makes sense, how things work. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, as an agency as well, there's something I've been thinking about for a long time too, is how do you guys smooth out your revenue process? Are you working mainly with this, selling one video at a time to a brand? Or are you focusing more on these long-term partnerships with some of your clients? Like you mentioned the Smile Direct Club, like working with these kind of brands, are they 6, 9, 12-month contracts that you're going, on retainer for, or, how are you guys developing that out for your business?
Case by case. I think, a lot of our talent are like, let's get as many long-term deals, just because again, you have the ability to like grow alongside the brand, and they do as well with you, and you get to develop a nice relationship with them. But yeah, it's kind of like case by case or one-offs. Obviously, so you see a lot of volume of one-offs. You don't see a lot of the long-term brand deals, every single day. But yeah, just trying to open them up to different and new revenue streams from a consumer products, from merch, especially on, third-party content. Can you start creating content and go sell a show to this platform or that platform? Does that make sense? Could you start another YouTube channel? What type of content would you put there? Could you sell sponsorship against that one? All sorts of things like that.
Yeah. And maybe this is a good segue just into kind of the second branch of our company, and especially going into 2021 is a big focus for us is productions. We have some more news coming soon, so I don't want to share too much, but we have partnered with an amazing production company out of LA that is heavily involved in the brand and content world, everything from original series, podcasts, branded commercials, etc. And, the goal for that partnership is to really help develop our talent, especially the higher level ones who are able to now expand to do those things. And whether it's selling a show to Snapchat or, starting their own series on YouTube, those are the types of opportunities that we're going to look at. And, we're really excited. We have one series that's going to be rolling out in a few weeks that we're very, very excited and proud of. So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And I guess, touching on that last thing before, like in my people's experience, I found it's been really creator based, right? Like some of the guys that I work with, so like Badjo Pants, for example, he was on TV here in Australia for many years. Like it seems to be long term is what he's really keen on. And I think we're 21 months into a relationship between him and a PC retailer. I sponsored him when I was at Corsair in 2018 and he's still with them right now. And he picked up AMD not too long after that. But other guys, I guess maybe some of the YouTube heavy guys that I work with, like they don't seem to care about that long term at all. They're just like, give me my 4K for my pre-roll and, I'll do 3 of them and then I don't want to hear from this brand ever again kind of thing.
That's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think so many creators, especially, that are seeing a lot of money from AdSense get comfortable. So they're like, I know I'm getting a check for whatever, tens of thousands of dollars a month. This is going to last. I'm in a good groove. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But, we're always telling, our clients, like, tomorrow there could be another adpocalypse, and therefore the split goes from 55 to 45 to something not in your favor, and you can't do anything about it, and you're at the mercy of the platform. So how are you diversifying? Where are you going? Where are you putting content? How are you selling against it? How are you monetizing? Just like always trying to be top of mind with them, because you really just never know. Like, for example, look at what happened with TikTok, and there was so much uncertainty if the platform was going to shut down, and you saw the rush of all the creators on the platform trying to plug all their other social media accounts, and it became this whole sort of cluster of a mess. And just always being aware of that for our clients is just really, really important for us.
And that goes to like building a community. Never has it been more important for, creators, streamers to start early in terms of building communities. I mean, we've seen creators that, sure, they might have 3 million subscribers, but they can't sell more than 10 t-shirts of their merch, So it's all like, I think it's super important to just have that community built now, because you're seeing the most successful people are the ones that have the strongest communities.
Yeah, that's so true. Doing some work in merchandising and, some of the projects that we've got coming up this year that I'm sure we'll talk about in this podcast soon. It's always interesting to, see those case studies or see those lack of case studies. The amount of agencies that I've tried to work with in the past with certain clients that, require a guaranteed click-through rate or they're looking for sales figures. It's always shocked me about how many creators or agencies just simply don't have a single case study besides this video got this many views and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's important to have, as much data as possible, just to offer it in different ways. Everyone's like, there's so many different requests, like, you get the typical demographics for this, or, I think the more value you can provide and more transparent you can be on the other side, it's just going to help everyone.
Yeah, that thing you said about AdSense was a good segue actually into, I guess, creators trying to diversify their portfolio, like both of you guys really mentioned, and do something different. Because I guess leading into that story, it's something that I see a lot is creators don't start promoting another platform. They don't start promoting their merchandise or a company that they're wanting to create until they're on the downturn. And then obviously it's a bit too late. And I feel like sometimes it's hard to explain to them that, things are going great now. You're 18 years old. You're making $15,000 a month off AdSense. But, what if there's a scandal that comes out? What if the game you're playing dies out of nowhere, which happens sometimes? Most people aren't interested in watching you anymore. Or Adpocalypse, like you said as well. And this, for those people that don't know, the Adpocalypse was after a PewDiePie drama where a whole bunch of advertisers pulled out a lot of money from YouTube. And a lot of people started making a lot less CPM. So be interested in talking about that with you guys. Like, it's a massive trend that I'm looking for in 2021, which is creators setting up their own businesses. So whether they're investing their own cash into something else, which has been, from my experience, non-existent in the past, but it's only just starting, to creators starting their own businesses, which, once again, in my experience now, they're actually starting them before they're over the hill, or creators gaining equity in businesses in return for promotion. So instead of a company saying, hey, we'll pay you $100,000 for a long-term campaign, we'll give you $60,000 in equity for the promotion instead. So I'd be really interested in hearing, your thoughts on that and whether you're working on some stuff like that with your creators.
Yeah. That's a big focus again for us, especially in this new year. And kind of original business ventures is kind of one of the third division now of up north. And yeah, we're seeing this influx of, maybe there's early on startups that don't necessarily have, a big amount of money to pay a creator up front, but they're willing to give some equity in exchange for those deliverables. So we've completed a few of those deals in the last quarter of 2020. And
awesome.
We're going to see some more opportunities just like that. In addition to that, like you said, creators are investing their own cash in businesses. And we're fortunate enough that, one of our clients, Formula, both Up North and Formula, invested in Backbone, which is, this mobile controller, which I think is going to be like the future of mobile gaming.
Yeah, it's really interesting that I guess these guys are starting to put their own cash into stuff, right? Like the first time I really heard about it was, I think I talked to Jeff Pabst, Chief Revenue Officer of FaZe, and he was saying that, some of his younger creators are starting to invest into stocks and bonds and things like that. And I know Kieran from Elusive said that one of his guys, I think he was like 14 years old, when he hit 15 or 16, he was buying some property and some things like that too. So now it's cool. It's really cool to see these guys do it, because I guess, the cynical mainstream business people think that the kids are spending it on private jets and Gucci bags and Lambos that they're crashing into poles and things like that too. So it's good to see that. And you can't blame them sometimes, right? Because I see it not much different to a sports celebrity. Yeah. Like if I was 15 years old and earning $20,000 a month, like what do you think I would do? I'd probably go straight to the shop and buy as much junk food as I wanted and order Uber Eats every single day. Like I'd put on like 100 pounds, straight away for sure. I'd go on stupid holidays and throw money at dumb things.
Yeah. And that content gets rewarded, especially on the YouTube VOD side.
That's true.
So they're more incentivized to be like, oh, like they're doing a video on my new car or whatever, my $10,000 shopping spree. Okay, I'll do that too because it's working for views.
Yeah. And listen, Cody and I are no experts in the financial management space, but like wealth management is so huge, and especially getting young creators start early on that. We're here for advice. If we've had people come to us and like, hey, I need a business manager. Sure, we'll connect you. Hey, I need a trademark attorney. Great. We'll help set that relationship up because we want our creators to succeed in the right way.
Yeah, and you find, and I found this personally, if you support these creators and do good business with you, they're gonna follow you forever. And these guys are becoming immensely popular that can bring you great business in the future. So it does pay, right? It does pay to be nice to them. I've got a bunch of guys that are kind of, manage as a friend, like on and off. But when they're looking for an agency, like I'm sure they're going to come knocking and ask me who to sign with, just because they know that, the first time I ever reached out to this person, I wasn't asking them for something. I was offering them something. I reached out to them and said, hey, I've got $5,000 for an NVIDIA campaign. Would you like to do that? And then you pay them on time and then you just build a relationship from there, right?
Yeah. A lot of our clients have come from word of mouth of other clients. Like I think it just sort of speaks volumes to what we've been able to do with those individuals. And that's the best way to do it, right? You treat someone well, you do good work together, and then they're introducing you to somebody else. Like that's the best client referral system ever. Word of mouth.
Yeah. You said before that you had a couple of companies that you were promoting for equity, like with some of your creators. I don't know whether you can say like exactly what those companies are, but I'll also be interested in learning about like what space do they play in? Are these more merchandising people? Are they video games? Like what kind of companies are they?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, we're kind of exploring opportunities. Like one that we've done in the past is in the food beverage area.
Okay.
Kind of new to the space. So those types of opportunities, Cody and I, like personally, kind of outside of all this, we're really amazed by what's happening in the sports card world. I think everyone knows how hot it is right now. It's just going to continue. So would
Yeah,
love
nice.
to check out that space. We actually rep a ton of big sports gamers, some of the biggest names as far as like, Madden, NBA, 2K, NHL, etc. So, maybe there's some opportunities there.
Yeah, I got someone to introduce to you there. If George Haddad's watching right now, which he might be, I'll get you to talk to him. He's definitely planning something within that space. Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, is there any particular types of companies that you're seeking more than others, or are you just besides the sports?
It was so interesting. There was a time a couple months ago where I think over a 2-week period, a similar company approached us, or 3 similar companies approached us. It was like really playing into sort of what's happening in the audio space, different apps and startups on the tech side that are similar to like Clubhouse. I'm sure you're familiar with what's going on with Clubhouse. Yeah. But there's sort of like this audio wave that's coming, and there are just a couple that had approached us more on even like the sports hybrid lifestyle podcasting sort of areas. Right. Which is really, really interesting, sort of all came in at the same time, but just having seen the trend of what's happening with audio and where that's going, it was just like surprising we saw them all at the same time. But yeah, that was interesting.
And I would assume you guys have been approached by unlimited new social platforms as well. People trying to launch. I feel like that's. I mean, we're doing. I think we talked about this before we started recording, but I'm doing like up a bit of a trends in gaming and esports 2020 carousel at the moment. But I just decided not to include that one in there. But I mean, even me, I got approached by like I reckon about 9 different social medias last year, ranging from esports to gaming to sports. People want to come into space.
Yeah, we see quite a few, to be honest with you, especially even like on the live streaming side, a new platform trying to break into and take some business away from, the Twitches of the world.
Yeah, it's a tall order, right? I mean, if Microsoft can't do it, I mean, it's obvious Microsoft made some mistakes, but either way, it's when someone asks, I see it similar as someone asking me like, I want to make a tier 1 global esports team right now. And I'm like, okay, get out your checkbook, like 300 million. I can make that happen for you. It's pretty similar. Like I'm sure you probably could take on Twitch, but you're going to want $500 million in your pocket for the first round to kind of get there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what other kind of things are you guys looking forward to in 2021? For me, it feels like 2018 to 2020 was probably people finding their feet a lot. It was people focusing on, brand deals. And I feel like last year, especially, it was people focusing on actually getting value out of the brand deals, not just how many views, but, conversion metrics and sales and things like that. It was a big rise, especially in merchandise, probably for the last 6 months of 2020 as well. Every influencer was doing their own limited edition run of a black hoodie with the logo and, maybe something special on the sleeve, and whether it be with Champion or themselves or something like that. But what other trends are you guys looking forward to in 2021?
For us personally, I think it plays really heavy on the content side. I mean, we were part of that trend last quarter with the merch side, and honestly, some of our clients saw a lot of success, like multiple clients doing 6 figures in a merch drop, which was awesome to see. Just seeing their community so receptive to them. Mm-hmm. The content side is something that we're really passionate about, like Cole was talking before, really building out in particular to start it off, one of our clients to produce sort of a slate of new content and IP that, we'll be able to, own together and market and promote and build, over a long period of time, living on different platforms and just being flexible and fluid, try and create some new stuff.
Can you explain to me more about how that works? So, like, I'm assuming another example is FaZe, right? They announced they're doing FaZe Studios. They also did their own movie and things like that too. Yeah. So, are you guys creating some sort of custom video, audio content that you can not only have ownership of a brand of content, say like a Jersey Shore is a brand within itself, but also something you can sell to other platforms? Like, you can sell it as a YouTube original, you can sell it to Twitch, etc.
Yeah, 100%. So the what we're doing is starting on the YouTube side of things, so it will live there, and then sort of as we go along and continue to build out different types of IP, within that, and different types of shows and play on VOD and play on live stream, we'll be able to just entertain conversations with different platforms, OTT services, because we'll own the IP and we can take it anywhere. So we just want to establish the brand and the concept first. And then once we see, that viewership and engagement, we'll be able to sort of start having conversations with other platforms and brands.
You know what I feel like with some of these creators? I talked to a sales guy yesterday about this, and his essential thing was he worked in like ad tech, and he realized that he was responsible for the entire company. Essentially, he was outselling every other person within the company, and it was him. So it only made sense for him to leave to make his own company, and he's fabulously wealthy and successful now, and a really nice guy because of it. Yeah. And I feel like creators are doing the same. I feel like creators are saying, why am I promoting someone else's movie? Why am I promoting someone else's hoodie? Why am I promoting someone else's game? Yeah. I mean, and that's what Jeff Pabs talked about on from FaZe on the podcast. He said that FaZe has been thinking a long time about not necessarily developing their own game, but taking a game in early development and pushing it to being like, why would I push Fortnite or Apex Legends when I got no say over the patch notes or whether my team's featured in there or not, and go a hardcore route and do your own? Like, is that, am I right in thinking that?
You're totally right. We're seeing a lot of situations where a creator is obviously more valuable to the brand or whatever it is than vice versa. So it just makes sense to kind of keep it in-house. And if we can do it, we can do it.
Because all these guys, you control your distribution. You have an audience. You can pivot that to a product that you're selling. You can pivot that to, making people download an app. You can pivot that to making people watch more of your content. You could put a paywall behind things. You've seen that with, Full Send and Logan Paul. And, there's so many different opportunities I think you're seeing now where creators are like, oh, I actually can almost perform just as well, if not better than the company that's approaching me. Why don't I just try to do it myself? And if it doesn't work, then let's go back to the company and we can try it there. Or on the flip side, let's try it with the company as a test, knock it out of the park. And then I know the case is there that I'll do it myself later on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like a hybrid of that I've heard too, is that there was this food and beverage style company that was been working with these creators for so long. They were so instrumental in their success that I think they basically said to them, look, we're sick of paying you so much money. Why don't we just give you part of the company instead? Right. And then you can promote us from there. And similar kind of thing, like the relationship's been great because when I talk to people about like goal brand deals, and I can't say whether they do or don't have equity in them. Like I don't think they do, but whenever I think G Fuel, I think FaZe. Whenever I think FaZe, I think G Fuel, because all of the creators, they talk about G Fuel all the time. They've got, not hundreds, but they've got lots of different flavors. They're always on their jerseys. They're always talking about it. It's always in all of their content. And that seems to be like a goal, but it doesn't, that kind of relationship comes around, once in a decade, if that kind of thing.
Those are unicorn partnerships, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But if the creator has created their own company, like, of course they're going to talk about it all the time. Like when a fitness influencer creates their own protein shake, of course they're going to be drinking that in their vlogs. Of course they're going to be wearing the shirt of the merch. It only makes sense for, a creator to do their own keyboard and to do that all the time, make their own gaming chair, which they're always sitting on. I guess that's the thing, right? I haven't heard of a single creator making their own gaming chair company. It's not very hard to do one.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll eventually see almost every category, from peripherals to chairs to, even games themselves, that you're going to see creators just trying to do them themselves, which I think for us, it makes me personally really excited to just explore different things outside of the day-to-day. Here's a brand deal, put it on your YouTube channel, put it on your Twitch stream and make money.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to see how far creators can stretch outside of their own niche, right? Like, I mean, Mr. Beast is Mr. Beast, but like David Dobrik of the world, for example, like creating a puzzle. I mean, that was genius what he did with the puzzle. And I would love to see how far a gamer could take a product that's non-gaming related.
It's pretty true. And I guess it's what you tie yourself to, right? Like there are a bunch of gamers there who are known as car fanatics. Yeah. So there's definitely a way that a gamer could create, a modified car workshop where they work on the other creators' cars and then create content around that. There's obviously, you mentioned the Mr. Beast thing as well. He went from, I would say that his audience is very gaming, type orientated, his general user, but he's done everything from releasing his own app, to his live physical challenges with gamers, with people like the Misfits, etc., to, doing his own burgers across the US and things like that too. So it definitely can happen.
It's definitely easier when you're more of a lifestyle vlogger type of individual than a gamer, because you're looking at a lot of gamers and their content majority or 90+% of the time is, hey, I'm playing this game. I'm playing Fortnite. I'm playing Rainbow Six. I'm playing Call of Duty. You're going to watch me, whatever. I'm going to go into Warzone and have a crazy game. Like that's the extent of the content. I think where it gets really interesting is, when you're seeing some of the orgs, doing different types of, IRL challenges and IRL content on the lifestyle side, where you can really branch out and expand on that. Because, if you're a fan of a creator, you're going to want to know what their hobbies and interests are, and you're hopefully aligned with them. And, if someone that you follow and really enjoy watching their content is a big chef and they love to cook and they want to show that and express that, that should be an area where that person explores maybe selling products. And, yesterday, I think it was yesterday or maybe today, all the days are similar, but Nick Merck did a stream from his gym. I mean, that's synonymous with his brand. He's sort of, the guy that works out all the time. It's part of his identity. And, to be able to show that to 40,000 people concurrent, it's pretty phenomenal, right? So, you're able to, okay, does he go and say, hey, I'm a gym fanatic. All the people are watching me. Are they gym fanatics? Can I sell equipment? Can I be part of, those startup apps like Tonal and those kinds of products and things like that? So it just opens you up to so many different things, outside of this gaming niche. But, you start from the game, you're a gamer, and then what can you expand on from your core?
Yeah, and I guess a lot of what you're saying, right, is it's got to be natural, because I'm sure you get this too, is unlimited MMA managers and rapper managers saying, my client is a gamer, they want a free $10,000 PC because they're thinking about streaming next week. Yeah. And, most of the time you go through their Instagram and there's not one single mention of them playing games on there at all. And you go, well, okay, what relevance does that have to the market? And the advice that I've given to some of these guys before, we launched like a football player into becoming a content creator before the new year, and said to him, like, that you play FIFA a lot, but your fans don't. So just post it every now and then. Whenever you're playing by yourself or with your daughters, with your mates, just do a selfie and say, hey, I'm jumping in Warzone, having fun playing today. And then you start to build that natural thing. Because I think, I don't know if these guys just don't think that way, they forget it or something, but, we've all seen that a lot. I
think they also think that because they're a celebrity or an athlete and they have an audience already, that's going to translate directly into becoming a gamer or a content creator, which is just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. You really definitely. And the gaming community will sniff you out in 2 seconds. Like, if you're not genuine and authentic, they're not going to watch your content. They don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had that once. We had a gaming house for a while. We created this team called Shade Crew that was living in the Golden Mile in Brighton here. Golden Mile is like where the CEOs and the sports celebrities live and stuff. And one of the guys that came to the house is Shane Warne, who's the second highest wicket taker of all time in cricket. So pretty big guy, but he came through and he jumped on the sticks on Fortnite for a bit, and it was a bit of a meme. It was funny for a while, but then after a while, I think people started to lose interest. It's like, why is this boomer playing Fortnite? He doesn't know how to build and shoot at the same time. So, when he got his first kill and stuff, it was pretty good, and a bunch of meme pages picked it up and the concurrent viewers went okay. But exactly, like, once that, that kind of thing passed, it's over from there.
But you can't sustain it. That's what happens.
Yeah, really true. Yeah. I don't know if it's just me, but it really does seem like MMA fighter managers and rapper managers are the two that are always asking me to get their clients free PCs. I don't know if it's for you guys. I don't know if it's more country music over there or what, but that seems to be the two.
More athlete side too, I think. I mean, we've dipped our toes into the athlete representation world. It hasn't really panned out as we maybe thought it would, but we feel the same way for sure.
Yeah. It's trying to balance, I guess. I find it really hard to balance that across everything. I'm trying to think about the best way to say it. So the athlete is used to being paid a certain amount of money, right, to do a campaign. And that's not realistic if you're reaching out to your normal gaming clients, because of course, Razer is just going to say, well, 0.1% of their audience is relevant to me. So I'm going to give you, 3% of what I would normally pay someone, which is peanuts according to them. And then, then you want to reach out to the traditional companies, but then the traditional, Coca-Cola or whatever says, it's a bad example, but they say, well, we've never worked in gaming before, so we don't want to do anything with you either. So I feel like you hit a stalemate there. And the hardest hump to get over is getting them a PC, because PCs aren't cheap. And, they're often low margin and that stuff too. So I'd be interested to hear, am I right in that kind of statement?
Yeah. I mean, I think when we've done it, at least it's like, oh, well, when's my first payment for a gaming company gonna, when's a gaming brand just gonna give me, a bag, and then we're just gonna, keep on going. And every single company that, we have conversations with, which is the ones we deal with our clients on a day-to-day, for our gaming clients, is like, we've seen this time and time again. It's not going to transfer. We'll give them free product and they can like give us a shout out. And I think the best ones, at least from a brand side, have been like, let's keep in touch from a community sense. So post about us, we'll post about you to the community, so that authenticity can shine through from their side of things, which is beneficial. But again, when you're looking at the athlete side, they're so used to getting paid right away that unless they're truly dedicated to building a brand within that identity, it's a long road and it's very tough to convince them.
That definitely makes sense. Yeah, I'm lucky that I've found a couple of athletes who really understand that. They understand that you can't get those quick wins. Be really interested to see.
More so, the younger athletes do, because a lot of them just come from the gaming world themselves and they watch YouTube content and they watch Twitch streamers. So you got to really go younger if I'm giving any advice to anybody.
Yeah, interesting. And I've seen not just that, but I've seen ones that are more near their end of their career too, seem to understand it pretty well, because, you know, they've got a legacy that they want to maintain, but also they understand that, you know, maybe they're not getting paid as much money as they were in the past. Maybe they're not going to be on the next World Cup team, you know, et cetera, et cetera. They're not winning as many games, kicking as many goals in whatever sport they play. So they understand that, okay, what's the next thing that I can put a bit of sweat in and help to set up? Because part of what I think too is that if you look at a lot of these agencies, you know, we were working with another company who wanted to acquire an agency, so got a bit of insight into, you know, how much these guys kind of cost a lot of the time. I mean, these top level athletes who want to get into gaming are earning more per year than these entire companies cost anyway. So what is it to them to spend a little bit of time? You know, they can't get a PS5, or they can get one for free. They can't buy one at Walmart, but they can get one for free. So why not? Why not just chuck, you know, a couple of hours of my time at this thing, because it doesn't mean anything to me and doesn't cost that much. But it's, you know, if you're looking at the Travis Scotts of the world, the Kun, Sergio Kun, you know, who released his own esports team and this kind of stuff, like, it can pay off in a massive way.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to the authenticity and organic nature, and if you're willing to actually build that brand identity. Because if you are, then go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. Do you see, you know, more of these companies coming to you from an early stage, offering equity into these creators, or more so, I should ask it from the other end. Is it something the creators are even interested in? Like, if a startup comes to them, you know, maybe they're raising $1 million and they've raised, you know, 800, 900K of that. Have you know, is there any interest from your creators for them to be gifted, in quotation marks, that last 100K in return for promotion instead?
I think it's a mix. You know, I think there's some creators that just understand the value and the potential value over a long period of time. But then, you know, some creators are just like, hey, well, if my equity is not vesting for, you know, a 4 or 5 year period, then am I really, you know, do I really want to put in the time right now? And brand number B over here has 100K for me and I can just take it right now. So I think it's dependent on the scenario, but I think more often than not, we're seeing creators actually take, you know, an active interest in, like, hey, this inequity piece would be really cool.
I think it's becoming cool too. Like, just from a mainstream culture, you know, you're seeing so many articles and press releases of creators and influencers and athletes, you know, getting equity in early stage startups. And it's almost like becoming a sexy thing. It's like, you know, so once it becomes sort of that cool factor, people are jumping in, and maybe, you know, they are a little less hesitant to, you know, just jump in, or not as hesitant to jump in, and not as worried as, you know, what's the monetary value it can have if it was just a one-off.
Yeah, it could build trust, right? It could build trust with a community. I mean, look at Backbone when they had their announcement. You know, it came out Laserbeam, Marshmallow, Nadeshot, et cetera, et cetera. You know, they're all behind this company, and I think everyone was like, "Oh, well, this must be good if you know they're all involved in it."
Yeah, nuts. I mean, you know, the creators are promotion themselves, right? Like, just that short list of people that you gave besides the other ones that invest, like Fresh Asian, who's huge in himself, and, you know, all the other guys, like the amount of marketing power those guys just bought themselves for kind of free, because the equity isn't worth anything until the company's sold, essentially.
Equity may never be worth anything. You know what I mean? That's the risk that you take, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to make sure that the product actually delivers, right? I remember there was something that PewDiePie invested in that was kind of similar, like quite some time ago. I always wonder what happened to that. I'd stumbled across it like 6 months ago again.
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I wonder if I mean, part of it is setting the right deliverables, right? Is making sure that the creators actually bought in to what they're doing, and the contracts are not just the contracts are tight, but the creators actually care, because we all know that, you know, the disdain that gets built when a creator's promoting something that they might like at the start and they hate at the end. And then maybe you get like the Joe Rogan Fear Factor thing? Like, I've heard him talk about Fear Factor a bunch of times, where he's like, it was great for the money, but I hated it. Like, so if they ever wanted to relaunch Fear Factor, I mean, he's a pretty anti-rep for that show now.
That's just part of the education process too. I mean, even as people get more and more excited of, oh, could invest in a startup, or they're going to give me equity for services or deliverables, like, you have to understand you're going to be with them for a long time. Like, there's an average of like 7 years, so that you're probably going to have to be associated with the company. So really keep that in mind. Because if you're going to drop off after a year, then like there's just absolutely no point.
The other interesting one too is, you know, I guess for those people who already know me and the podcast quite well, is that PlaySide Studios is one of our shareholders, and they IPO'd a couple of weeks ago, and they've got a series of creator apps that they've already got launched and they've got coming out as well. Is that something that's, you know, that's on the radar of you guys as well? So in the past, you know, they've worked with apps which are kind of like games that are branded as the creator, kind of maybe based around their life and things like that too. You know, whether it's hard based, whether it's like solely about them, or whether it's just they're just one little part of it and part of the promotion. Be interested in hearing about that from you guys too.
Yeah,
Apps are hard. That's all I'll say. They're really hard. I was just going to say apps are really hard to sustain. I think you're going to see an influx at the beginning. You know, I don't know what David Dobrik's disposable app. I know they got a couple million active users in the beginning. I don't know how long that's sustained. Apps is a really difficult.
I think it has to serve some function. Like the David Dobrik app has merit because, you know, maybe people want like the disposable camera look or some effect that they can take photos with on a phone, but having like an app that's just centered around a personality or a creator, I think that's hard. I'm pretty sure like, who was it? Like Jeremy Renner, like tried doing that, like the Jeremy Renner app, and it absolutely just failed.
I'm going to Google that right now.
You start to see what MrBeast is doing and Night Media with the finger on the app challenges and things like that, which that serves a functional purpose and they do extremely well. So it really has to go on like how long what's the outlook and what's the sort of longevity of what you're trying to build there, because long term it's so hard to build any type of app and get people engaged, you know, after day 20.
Yeah. From my experience, it's been similar. I was looking at a fan engagement app concept for a client we were working with, and the end answer was you need to almost have too many features and it be too valuable, or just don't even bother. Because exactly like you were saying, like, you know, are people really going to be interested in an app that does, you know, those kind of disposable camera type things? Or what happens when Snapchat or Instagram just install that as a filter? And then, well, why bother downloading that app ever again?
Yeah, I mean, we just we're part of something with an app called Flick. It's like a sports fan app, which one of our clients is part of, and he's driven about, you know, I think he's driven about 10,000 of his fans over already, which is awesome to see people actually go download a third-party app onto their phone and actually engage. And they have really engaging tools when you're watching basketball and football and soccer and things like that. So I think, you know, those are functional purposes which have potential to, you know, create a real like incentive for people to stay.
So one other topic that we talked about a little bit before we started that I'd be keen to chat about is kind of merchandising and where that's going. So, you know, we talked live and previously about, you know, everybody did a black hoodie last year and everybody kind of did a limited, you know, it kind of went from, you know, here's my Teespring link just in all of my videos where you can just go buy a shirt. Then it went to, okay, I'm doing a custom drop that's, you know, there's only going to be 500 of them. They're going to cost more money. They're going to look a little bit cooler because they'll have a logo on the breast pocket, but also the sleeve or something like that. What do you guys see next within the merchandising space? I know that we talked a little bit about not necessarily even just seeing it as merchandising, but seeing it like as consumer goods. I know that we talked about them being like a little bit more special to who the creator is and the kind of content and what they do. But I'm interested in hearing from you guys.
Yeah, I think you're going to see more personalization around the creator itself, and the ones that have that strong community, I think they're going to really try to tap in, or at least from the up north side. I mean, we have clients where we know, you know, what people's fans know them for. So, I mean, that can expand to everything from maybe skincare products, beauty. We have we have a gamer that's kind of the face of the NHL game, and you know, we think that eventually he can sell his own hockey stick. So, you know, we really push the boundaries. I think the opportunities are kind of
consumer products for sure, and sort of putting your face behind something where you team up with an established company, and you get behind there. Cole and I are trying to put together right now something that's really exciting in the consumer product space that we're hopeful to launch in a couple months, that one of our creators will be behind. And it's a different type of, I wouldn't even call it merch. It's a consumer product that they'll be involved in that really fits the community. It fits the game that they play. And it's something that we haven't seen before. I wish I could talk about it, but it is really exciting. I think it when we continue to develop it, people will be like, that's actually a functional product that I'm actually going to engage with, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We're going to see also like a lot of co-branded collaborations, right? Like, I think that's a pretty common trend now, more so in the lifestyle space. I mean, you see creators partnering with like sunglasses companies to do their own collabs, and I think we'll start to see some crossover there.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say is I'm still waiting for gaming to catch up with makeup. Like, it seems that they just lead the charge so much there. Like, how often are these makeup influencers not only doing like live meetups, but their own full custom palettes and eyeshadows, and they're picking all their colors that are related to them and the styles that they like at any time. Anytime I go with my girlfriend into Mecca or something like that, there's just walls and walls and walls of, there's Shan XO, who's one from New Zealand over here. There's Jeffree Star over there on the wall. There's a James Charles palette, with the new brand. Like, it's just nuts. But you don't see that very much at all in the space, unless it's like a SteelSeries esports team mouse. But from my experience, those don't necessarily sell that fantastically, at least not in our local market here in Australia. So
that's what we're trying to figure out too, is like, I think I mentioned it before of like, there's the peripheral companies, those are the products, or the chair that you mentioned. There's no creator doing a chair. Like, I think that's where gaming really has to figure itself out, especially from a creator standpoint of what are functional products that they can sell outside of just partnering with SteelSeries and doing a collab there. I mean, I think those are amazing and great, but how can you push the boundary even further?
Yeah, one of the trends I'm looking at is similar to what FaZe Clan did with Heat. As far as I understand, one of FaZe's talent personally is invested in Heat. So Heat do like these luxury boxes. So they come in like a Gucci style box, with the wrapped tissue paper. It's nice. It's thick cardboard with magnetic. But they did a launch with FaZe where it was 2 to 3 custom pieces of FaZe merch, and then somewhere between 1 to 3 custom high-end, high quality fashion goods. So, I got sent one of these packs, for example. I got like a nice FaZe crew neck with like a thick embossed champion logo on it. I got sent a t-shirt with like a nice Stitch logo, and then like a $250 pair of off-white shorts and like a pair of socks and things like that too. And I'm feeling like, this kind of bundles is something that's going to be fairly interesting in the future. And once again, it is related to the audience. Like you guys were saying, like every time you see FaZe guys, they're wearing Balenciaga, they're wearing Gucci, Off-White, that kind of stuff too. But, even from a business standpoint, you can start to work some extra margin into these kind of things. It's no, everybody knows that an RGB keyboard does not cost $35 more than a non-RGB keyboard to produce, but it's that adds extra. Everyone knows that the Gucci, slides are not worth, the $500, but they come in the nice box. And the nice box itself costs $3 to produce, but probably adds an extra $100, to the price and things like that too. So yeah, I'm really thinking that, this kind of bundled goods, putting these kind of custom packs together that have something to do with these creators is something that might be interesting.
Comes down to brand at the end of the day. I mean, if you have a community and they understand it and they resonate with what you identify with, you can sell anything you want. Like, and it's evident people are selling, anything and everything. If it fits something, you have a dedicated community audience, they're going to buy it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if you can sell the bathwater, you can sell anything else, right? So we talked a bit before about like traditional people come into gaming, but I'd be interested in hearing about the opposite way around. Like, do any of your creators get invited to traditional sports events? Have you got many of these mainstream companies approaching them looking for campaigns? Car brands, insurance, like this kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, from a non-endemic standpoint, we've been lucky to work with everyone from like Ford, like the car company, to like the Nesquicks of the world, to Shudder, like AMC's horror platform, etc.
With Gatorade, with some of our sports talent. So definitely seeing them dip their toes into this market.
Yeah. I've been really interested to see when, like, I talked to the I'm not exactly sure what his title is, something like head of global partnerships for the UFC. He's an Aussie guy. And I was saying to him, look, every single, like I'm a UFC fan. Whenever you see the UFC, you can tell, like pre-COVID, you can tell that they make sure to show who's in the audience. So if The Rock's sitting there, because they've got the special Dana White seats, they'll show him on the camera and it'll say it's The Rock. Like I'm going to be really interested to see. And I said to him, like, why aren't creators there? Why isn't FaZe sitting ringside? FaZe has more followers than The Rock has, and it's an audience that you guys are trying to reach, into the future. I'm going to be interested to see, when that kind of stuff comes, when they're panning the NHL stands, and it's not just your face of NHL guy sitting there, but it's also the, Smile Direct Club, COD creator that you've done work with as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for that moment. I think COVID will slow that down, unfortunately, but yeah, I think that'll eventually happen for sure.
It's so funny. This is so random. I was at a Toronto Raptors game 4 years ago, and they actually said "Welcome FaZe Clan," and I had no idea who they were. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. That was at a NBA basketball game. So nice. I randomly just thought of that, but I remember that happening, and I had no idea, like, because a lot of them are from Toronto, so I had no idea like what they were talking about at all.
Yeah, there you go. So how do you, like you guys said, you've got 3 divisions within your company so far. How do you make the time? I assume you've got other employees, or just you two guys kicking it for the most part, or?
Yeah, it's just Cole and I right now. I think what we've been able to do over the last 2 years is really build the infrastructure for a management company, which has then allowed us to open new opportunities from the content and business venture side, because, a lot of that stuff just extends by way of our clients and them wanting to push the boundaries, us wanting them to push the boundaries. It's sort of like a cyclical process there.
Yeah, it's been really good to talk to you guys, because like I said before, I've been thinking long and hard about the quantity over quality, and thinking about, what's the merits of a business and how can you create a sustainable business by only having a few select but very handpicked and very cared and looked after creators. And it looks like you guys are doing a pretty good job, but it also sounds like a lot of work at the same time.
Yeah, I think just differentiating ourselves too is, like we said before, gotta catch them all. There's a new management company or agency popping up all the time. They're trying to scoop up talent, and for us to differentiate ourselves and stand out, and let our work speak for itself of how we're doing things differently, and how it's just really not a transactional relationship that we have with our talent is very, very important. It's sort of one of our core beliefs as a company.
And I assume it's got to be some pretty solid planning and balancing on the part of you guys, right? Which is, how much time do you invest to build these new companies that take potentially 7 years to pay off, if at all, versus, you've got talent that need to make money in the interim, and you guys need to, pay for your house and food as well at the same time.
Yeah, that kind of makes it exciting for us too. And we're so young and new to the space. Like, we're only been around for 2.5 years, about 2.5 years. So that's sort of the exciting part of building the company in this space in particular.
Yeah, and I guess the other answer to that too, like if I was to answer myself, is a lot of these merchandise, opportunities don't really take much or anything to develop at all, right? If you're just doing a hoodie, you can do it as a pre-order campaign. Right. You don't really have to put any money down, bar maybe $150 for a couple of samples, and then the designer, a few $100 for a nice designer to make something cool for you, because your promotion is the influencer themselves. That doesn't cost you anything. The shipping is included, and you don't do that until after you close the pre-orders, so you know exactly how many units to purchase as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what's the main focus for you guys in 2021? We talked about like your three different things that you're focusing on. Is there one thing that you're looking forward to more than any others? What are you going harder at?
On the management side, I think one space that we're very, very invested in already and want to continue to be invested in is the Call of Duty space. I think, Warzone is, from a culturally relevant standpoint, probably leading the charge, especially during this quarantine period. So we've been lucky enough to work with some amazing Call of Duty creators and streamers in that space. And I think there's so many, new and up and coming streamers that, because the game's just so hot, that they're kind of popping up here and there, and just kind of, having, scouting and taking a look at it. But me and Cody always like to place early bets on people. It's a really, going back to the quality over quantity, topic. I mean, we really try to take a bet on somebody. It's a gut feeling, even if they don't have the biggest following, if they have the it factor, then, we want to work with them because we believe in ourselves and in our skill sets to basically put the machine of Up North behind it and help them succeed. So.
Yeah, fantastic. So if anyone wants to reach out to you guys to follow you online or to chat with you, where's the best place?
Yeah, so on Twitter, Instagram, handle is UpNorthMG. Personal is UpNorthCole on Twitter. And Cody, what's yours?
Mine on Twitter is at Cody_HOCK. And then on Instagram at Cody Hawk. Yeah, full.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, guys. I already said it before, but I had a bunch of questions that I wanted to get answered for a while, and you guys answered them. So if nothing else, I don't care if anyone else liked this interview, because I did. It's great to have you guys on.
Thanks so much for having me. Great.
And thanks to you for tuning in, whether you're watching the video back later, whether you're watching live right now on Twitch or LinkedIn, or listening back to the audio-only version of the podcast. We've got a bunch more interesting guests coming on throughout the year. Hopefully you're enjoying this new kind of more relaxed style of the podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Please give us a rate, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or follow us on any of our social platforms, or myself at Smithy Mayo. I've also joined Clubhouse, so if you want to chat on there, you can feel free to do so. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.